With all buffs activated, the knight lifted his shield and drew his sword, as the rest of them quickly formed a battle line and charged forward. Suddenly, a spark appeared from Lin's palm, hurling a ball of flame towards them. In the blink of an eye, the knight at the forefront clenched his teeth. The pain was so intense that it was as if his soul was being scorched, causing him to stagger to the ground. The rest of them didn't seem to be doing much better, as they all gritted their teeth, suppressing their urge to scream. Moments later, the support on the team was the first teleported off the stage. Seeing they had lost their support, the knight captain knew their chances were slim. Despite facing hundreds of skeletons, their soldier spirit kept them from giving up. The knight roared, activating his limitless defense in a desperate stand. The team rallied behind him, charging forward with all they had, but they were quickly surrounded by skeletal warriors from all sides. Within moments, they too were teleported out. With that, the referee then announced Lin's success in the fourth round. The healer rushed to tend their wounds, and it turned out they were okay, just exhausted, and not gravely injured. Lin, meanwhile, had minimized the damage from his soul flame. The entire arena fell silent, not just shocked to see Lin's ability to defeat a group of high-level professionals instantly, but also because he might have just been the first to have ever conquered the first round. Yi and others below cheered, speculating excitedly if Lin might be able to beat the fifth round too. However, Cao Tao's gaze lingered on Lin. Even after knowing Lin for so long, she was amazed at just how far he'd got. As for the fifth round, there's no way of predicting since no one had ever made it this far. Oliver and Emma looked incredulously towards Lin on the stage, perhaps about to witness history, or maybe witness Lin's name etched into the history of the professional competition. Anyway, the prize for the fourth round was 2 brilliant intermediate skill scrolls. The referee's voice trembled slightly as he asked Lin if he wished to continue. Without a moment's hesitation, Lin nodded while saying he wanted to continue. Some of the audience had speculated that there's no such thing as the fifth round. Perhaps even the officials themselves had never expected anyone to make it this far. Yet, history was about to unfold before them. After minutes of eerie silence in the arena, a figure suddenly appeared midair. However, he isn't Lin's opponent for this round. The guy floating midair was dressed in an exquisite robe, holding a beautiful staff, with long black hair and a youthful appearance. His voice was also gentle. Turned out that he was here to announce the rewards for the fifth round: a high-level magic potion and a brilliant high-level skill scroll. The entire arena erupted into excitement at the revelation of the rewards. These items were valued highly, even for professionals who had gone through third-class transfers. Clearly, the values were beyond mere money. Lin, not yet a second-class transfer professional, was on the cusp of acquiring them. Though the fifth round hadn't yet begun, people already started to believe that Lin would once again come on top. Lin himself was equally surprised. He knew well that the higher one's level, the lower the chance of obtaining a new skill, especially high-level ones. The brilliant high-level skill scroll would guarantee him to obtain a high-level skill, and the high-level magic potion, like its lower-level ones that he has, would permanently boost his attributes. However, instead of mere hundreds, this one will boost it by 20,000 after the third-class transfer. Kinda broken. As he recalled the words of his teacher, White Divine, perhaps this was the real reason why he had urged him to go as far as he could in the challenging matches. Clenching his fists, Lin was ready to win it all. Amidst the crowd's high expectations, the fifth round officially commenced. In an instant, several figures appeared on the stage. Unexpectedly, all were level 50 professionals, and every one of them had a rare profession. This very squad was unique from the rest, comprising a paladin, elder Selin, an elemental mage, a shadow mage, a flame sorcerer, and an elf summoner. Not only that, this lineup was perfectly equipped to counter Lin's legion of skeletons. Not only were they composed of powerful AoE skills, crowd control, and group cleanses, but the paladin herself was incredibly tanky, while being a natural counter to the undead. And most importantly of them all, the elf summoner's ability to reset skills. At this point, Yi was visibly anxious. Clearly that the officials had deliberately chosen a lineup to counter Lin. Meanwhile on stage, seeing this team, Lin knew the battle would be tough, perhaps the most challenging he had faced yet. He realized he could no longer afford to hold back. Well, looks like our boy is going full out. The 6 of them faced Lin, weapon drawn and ready to burst into action. However, they were slightly surprised to be recalled from the UN battlefield just to be told to defend the stage. But considering the higher-up's serious attitude towards this kid, they didn't take him lightly. As the match commenced, each member of the team knew exactly what to do. The support quickly buffed everyone, and Lin, not to be outdone, donned his skeletal armor and summoned his legion of skeletons. On the other side, having not witnessed Lin's previous battles, were momentarily taken aback by the sight, but quickly regained their composure. The team captain, the female paladin wielding a shield, positioned herself at the forefront while the rest of the team began casting, aiming to obliterate Lin's skeleton army in one fell swoop. At that moment, Lin summoned his scythe, its chilling sensation spreading even to the spectator seats. Su Sheng, recognizing the scythe, immediately knew what Lin was up to. Just then, the DPS on the team had completed their casting. What followed was the 2 very powerful high-level area attacks, Meteor Fall and Rain of Fire, alongside Cloud of Slumber, which was an AoE crowd control skill. Right after they finished casting their skills, the elf summoner also called forth her summoned creature, shrieking as a burst of light enveloped each team member. This was the creature's special ability, Skill Reset, allowing the skill's cooldown to reset and use the skill immediately after. With the situation escalating, Lin's expression grew intense. He swiftly used soul summoning, and the next second, the Hell Outpost Guardian appeared on the stage. The sudden appearance of the massive Guardian on the stage stunned everyone. Nobody expected a boss from a hell difficulty dungeon to appear in the midst of their battle. Even the 6 of them found themselves momentarily taken aback by its immense size. Lin, seizing the moment, called forth our good old friend Undead General, who Lin plans to use to help maximize the effectiveness of his skeleton army. With the Guardian on one side and the Undead General on the other, with the skeleton army rapidly forming a battle formation in front. Everything that happened so far, in real time, was just mere seconds. Quickly, the first barrage of spells struck. A volley of meteors and fireballs rained down, instantly annihilating many skeleton warriors. The third skill didn't land, rather formed a cloud right above the skeleton army. As the second wave of enemy skills was about to hit, the Guardian spread its vast wings, shielding the skeletons with its own body from the incoming attack. The powerful figure now watching from the sidelines recognized that this was not the actual dungeon boss, but a soul manifestation. However, it was the first time he had seen someone summon a hell difficulty dungeon boss, piquing his interest in the necromancer profession even more. Despite some skeletons falling to the 2 rounds of attacks, they did not let their guard down. The paladin quickly used a group protection spell, raising a protective barrier that enveloped all of her team. Then, it was Lin's turn to attack. He signaled the Guardian, who leaped forward with a huge cleaver in hand and struck fiercely at the paladin at the forefront. The barrier rippled under the impact, however. It didn't break. As a massive cloud formed overhead with thunder rolling, raindrops began to fall onto the skeleton army. In an instant, the flames in their eye sockets flickered out, and their spines bent as they succumbed to sleep. But this was only a momentary setback. The Undead General, wielding his scepter, unleashed a deep red glow that radiated outward. The skill cleansed the control skill, as if answering a call to arms. The skeletons raised their heads once again, their eyes reigniting with flames. While clutching their weapons, they pressed forward once more. With a ferocious roar, the Guardian gathered strength for another strike. Meanwhile, the Shadow Mage watched in disbelief as his prized Cloud of Slumber was easily countered. The Guardian struck again, slashing at the barrier. This time, it managed to create a tiny crack. The elf summoner, quick to react, and her summoned creature used the skill reset once more. The paladin swiftly reinstated another group's protection, erecting a new barrier around the team. This isn't looking very good for Lin. The enemy's skill cooldown was exceedingly short, and allowing the continuous resets was highly disadvantageous for him. He knew he needed to eliminate the summoner and her summoned creature first, but how? Meanwhile on the other side, AoE skill doesn't seem to do much good for them, as the team decided to focus their attacks on Lin himself. Several powerful single-target spells flew towards him. Lin didn't dodge. Instead, he fortified his skeletal armor, testing whether it could withstand the onslaught of level 50 mages. As the skills landed, cracks appeared on the armor. Although he had withstood the attack, it was a close call. However, Lin was not overly worried. He got really high spirit points and got plenty of mana. He could basically indefinitely reinforce his skeletal armor if he wanted to. Just as he was thinking of his next move, a swamp appeared beneath his feet, perhaps another control skill from the Shadow Mage. However, they never expected that Lin's skeletal armor was immune to all control effects. At the same time, a few skeletal warriors materialized around him, and under the undead general's command, the rest of the skeleton army charged forward. The Shadow Mage panicked, realizing that not only could his skills not control the skeletons, but they also had no effect on the summoner himself. Within seconds, the skeletal warriors began to chop on the barrier. The paladin felt the strain. She was barely managing against the guardian alone, and now, overwhelmed by the added pressure from numerous skeletons, she knew she couldn't hold much longer. She desperately needed a skill reset, but the summoner's creature lay casually on the ground, seemingly enjoying its afternoon nap. The elf summoner tried frantically to rouse it, but having used the skill reset twice in quick succession, the creature needed some rest. As the guardian roared, followed by another powerful strike, the barrier finally shattered, much to the disbelief of the paladin and the astonishment of the spectators. A level 50 paladin's barrier had been breached. The rest of the skeletal warriors closed in rapidly. The paladin, still at the forefront with her shield, directed her teammates to attack. In quick response, a mage deployed a fire resistance ring, repelling the nearest skeletons, and immediately followed with a wall of fire, pushing back more of the attacking skeletons, buying them just enough time to have the creature use another skill reset once more. The paladin swiftly reinstated the group protection, a new barrier materializing around the team. She took a deep breath and realized just how close that was. As the paladin prepared to keep doing this and simply exhaust Lin, she suddenly heard a voice asking,
"Are you sure about that?"
To her shock, Lin infiltrated their formation, and now standing boldly among them flanked by two skeleton warriors. They all had one question in their mind. Did this dude forget he was a mage? How dare he get so close? Lin didn't give them any time to react as countless red shackles appeared, landing on every one of them. Lin knew his curse wouldn't hold them for long, but it just needed to buy him enough time. The paladin's eyes widened at the thought of something. Just as she was about to yell out, it was too late. Just as she had expected, Lin's target was not them. Rather, it was the summoner's creature. In the next moment, the two skeletal warriors raised their great swords and, with a rampage strike, brought them crashing down on the creature while taking a nap. Lin then quickly retreated a few steps and raised his hand, and with a thunderous boom that echoed across the arena, he unleashed corpse explosion. The story began with a boy getting isekai'd bare feet. Well,